Hello, beautiful people. It's Lulu. Have you ever seen someone walk into a room and instantly own it? Not in an arrogant way, but in that grounded, unshakable calm sort of way. That magnetic confidence that makes you think, how do they do that? That person who speaks with conviction, makes decisions with second guessing themselves, and somehow seems to move through the world with this incredible, enviable sense of calm. They just ooze confidence, clarity, and they're super calm. And then there's the voice in your head that whispers, or if you're like me, it screams, that must be so cool. Why was I not born with that kind of confidence? Here's what I've learned, usually the hard way. That person we're admiring, they weren't born that way either. And many times beneath that confident exterior is someone who's just as scared as we are. They've just learned something crucial that changed everything for them. Today, I'm sharing what I call the 3 C's: confidence, clarity, and calm. 3 states that aren't personality traits you're born with, but skills you can build with tiny, consistent actions. And I'll show you exactly how they connected in ways that might surprise you. Welcome to the Lulu Essey podcast, where we do things differently. Yep, there's no editing here and definitely no polish. These are real, raw, honest conversations that give you practical tools to transform your life from the inside out. So I want to talk about something I see all the time. Someone comes to me, a client, feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just lost. They're waiting for clarity before they take action. They're waiting to feel confident before they make a move. They're searching for calm in a life that feels chaotic. And they're doing it backward, but only because they don't know better. And I'm here to show you that there is a better way. Here's what most people think. Once I feel confident, then I'll take action. Once I have perfect clarity, then I'll move forward. Oh, and once everything settles down, then I'll find peace and calm. And my nervous system, which is hyped up, will settle down. But that's not how it works. That approach has us waiting forever for the feelings that come only after we take action, not before. Today, I want to flip everything you thought about confidence, clarity, and calm. Because what we've been taught, it's backwards. I'm going to show you how these 3 states are deeply interconnected and how taking tiny action is the surprising key to unlocking all 3. Let's dive right in with confidence. Let me ask you, how confident do you feel in your life? Do you consider yourself to be a confident person? What is confidence anyway? I'll start by saying that confidence is not the absence of fear. It's not even the belief that everything will work out. True confidence is simpler than that. It's the knowledge that whatever happens, you can handle it. But here's the misconception most of us have. We think confident people were simply born that way, or that they have some special quality we don't possess. But the truth, confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And you build it through action, not thinking. There's fascinating research on this from Dr. Albert Bandura, who developed this concept of self-efficacy. His research showed that the most powerful way to build confidence isn't through affirmations or pep talks. It's through what he called mastery experiences. And that means actually doing the thing you're afraid of and surviving it. I'll share a personal example. When I started this podcast, I was terrified. The idea of putting my voice, my thoughts, my vulnerabilities out into the world made me feel almost physically sick. There was a moment where I was waiting to feel confident enough to start. But here's the revelation. That confidence never came. Not until I took action. I didn't record my first episode because I finally felt confident. I recorded it feeling terrified. And only after I'd recorded did I begin to feel small threads of confidence forming. Each episode I recorded added another small deposit in my confidence bank. The confidence didn't come before the action. It followed it. It came after the action. And this is where it gets really interesting. When you take tiny actions, actions so small they don't trigger your body's fear response, you start building evidence for your brain that says, see, you can do this. Now this is so important. Hear me when I say that we all want to take big steps, massive actions. And while that can work in some cases, it can also trigger our brain's fear response. Tiny actions don't do that. And that is why they are powerful. You've heard go big or go home. And I say, go tiny and get going. This is the tiny way to big impact. And it isn't just theory. Research in behavioral psychology confirms that action comes before emotional change, not the other way around. A study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that people who acted as if they were confident actually developed measurable increases in confidence over time. So what does this mean for us? It means stopping the waiting game. Stop waiting until you feel ready, confident, prepared enough. Instead, ask yourself, what's one tiny action I could take right now? Something so small, it almost feels insignificant. Confidence isn't the reward for action. It's the result of action. If you're waiting for it to arrive before you move, you could be waiting a very long time. Confidence may be sending that email you've been avoiding. Maybe it's having a 30-second difficult conversation. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been eyeing out. The action doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be a step forward. Because confidence isn't built through grand gestures. It's built through tiny, consistent actions that prove to your brain, one step at a time, that you are capable. I really want you to hear me on this. People dismiss the power of tiny actions. Nah, that's dumb. That is so small. It can't possibly get me the big thing I want. I see you. I hear you. And I am here to challenge you lovingly. Because yes, that tiny step can absolutely bring you that big thing you want in your life. But remember, you have to be consistent, and those tiny steps or actions compound, which means you must keep taking them. And it becomes a whole lot easier once you get into your flow. So what about clarity? When was the last time you felt completely clear about a decision or the next step you needed to take? What did that feel like in your body? Clarity, it's that elusive state where the fuzziness and uncertainty lifts, and suddenly you know exactly what to do next. But the common mistake we make is that we think we need complete clarity before we take action. We think we need to see the entire path, beginning, middle, end, all of it, before we take the first step. But clarity doesn't work that way. Clarity doesn't come from endless thinking or planning. Again, it comes from action. I remember working with a client, amazing woman, who was paralyzed by indecision about her career. Should she stay in her corporate job or pursue her passion project? She had been thinking about it for months before she came to me, making pros and cons lists, talking to friends, getting advice, and yes, even listening to podcasts. But still, she felt completely stuck. I asked her, what's one tiny action you could take to explore your passion project? Something that doesn't need you to quit your job. Together, we decided that she would commit to spending just 15 minutes a day working on her idea. Within 2 weeks, she had more clarity about what she wanted than all those months of thinking and talking had given her. Here's why this works. Research on decision making from neuropsychologists like Dr. Antonio Damasio shows that our brains aren't designed to make decisions purely through logic. We need feedback. We need real-world interaction with our ideas to know if they're right for us. We actually need to do stuff in the real world, not just in our heads. You've probably heard of the expression analysis paralysis. Well, studies show that the more options we consider and the more we try to think our way to clarity, the more overwhelmed and paralyzed we become. One famous study by psychologists Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper found that when people were presented with too many options, they often chose not to choose at all. That's right. Too many options, and they chose none. The way out of this paralysis is simple, but also a bit counterintuitive. Take a small action, then evaluate, then adjust based on feedback. It's like walking in fog. You can stand still, straining your eyes, trying to see the whole path. Or you can take one small step and get feedback. And that feedback is the fastest path to clarity. Each small action you take creates feedback that helps you adjust your course. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to see the next step. So, if you're feeling stuck or unclear about something in your life, ask yourself, what's one small action I could take that would give me more information? Not the perfect action, not the final decision, just a step that will help you gather more feedback. This approach is also backed by research in decision-making, psychology. Studies show that we make better decisions when we use what's called iterative processing, which means taking a step, evaluating, adjusting, and then taking another step, rather than trying to make one perfect decision upfront. It's like a dance, and it makes it all the more exciting because you get to adjust in real time. And the massive bonus is that you learn more about yourself and what you really want once you start actually doing, once you start taking action. Now, what about calm? Take a moment and check in with yourself right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how calm do you feel? And what would it take to move that number just 1 point up? Calm is that seeming out-of-grasp state we all crave, particularly when life feels chaotic or uncertain, or when change seems persistent. Most of us think that calm comes from external circumstances. Once things settle down at work, once my kids are a little older, once this project is finished, once I lose this weight, once I get my promotion. But here's what I've learned. Calm isn't dependent on external circumstances. It's the result of internal confidence and clarity. When you know you can handle whatever comes your way, which is confidence, and you have a sense of what your next step is, which is clarity, your nervous system naturally settles. And there's fascinating research behind this. Studies using fMRI scans show that when the brain feels uncertainty, the amygdala, our brain's alarm system, becomes highly activated. But even small increases in perceived control or predictability significantly reduces the stress response. In other words, you don't need complete control. So settle down for all my control freaks. And you don't need perfect certainty to feel calm. You just need enough confidence that you can handle what comes your way and enough clarity about the next step. I noticed this in my own life during a particularly crazy period last year. I had so many big projects happening all at once. I was facing personal challenges and my schedule felt completely overwhelming. What helped wasn't trying to control every aspect or waiting until things calmed down. What helped was taking tiny actions that built my confidence and clarity, bit by bit. With each small step I took, I proved to myself that I could handle it, and I gained a clearer picture of what needed to happen next. I gave my brain proof that I could handle things. It's like training our brains, and that in turn strengthened the neural pathways that allowed me to be calm. The overall result? A sense of calm that didn't rely on external circumstances, but came from within. Researchers at Harvard found that having a sense of control, even over small things, helps reduce stress hormones like cortisol. But remember, you don't need to control every little detail to feel calm. Just focus on what you can control in the moment. Your next tiny step. You just need to show your brain that you can influence what happens next. And influence starts with your next choice. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or like everything is just too much right now, take a few seconds and ask yourself, what's one tiny thing I can control right now? Maybe it's simply organizing your desk. Maybe it's taking 3 conscious breaths. Maybe it's making one decision you've been putting off. A small step breaks the paralysis of inaction that we often get caught in. These actions might seem too small to matter, but they send a powerful signal to our brains that we are still in control of something. And that alone can begin to shift your nervous system from flight or fight to a greater calm. Now here's where the magic happens. These 3 states form a loop that builds on itself. When you take action, you build confidence. That confidence gives you clarity about your next step. That clarity creates a sense of calm, and that calm makes it easier to take the next action. Picture the 3 C's like a spiral staircase. With each tiny step, you're climbing. You're rising, even when it doesn't feel like a big rise. And the loop continues growing stronger with each rotation. The beautiful thing about this loop is that you can enter it anywhere. You can start with a tiny action to build confidence. You can start by creating clarity about your next step. You can start by finding a moment of calm through connecting with your breath. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you start somewhere. And remember, we're not talking about massive action or perfect clarity or complete calm. Sometimes calm can be momentary. I'm not talking about a permanent state of calm here. I'm talking about tiny actions, slightly more clarity than you had before, and moments of relative calm. That's why I often say that transformation happens in the tiny steps, not the giant leaps. Remember, we don't want to trigger our brain's stress response. These tiny steps sets this powerful loop in motion, and I find that incredibly encouraging because it feels doable. It means we can start where we are right now with what we have. And remember, Be mindful. Don't overcomplicate this process or overanalyze or intellectualize this loop and the 3 steps. Keep it simple. Take a tiny step. Imperfect is wonderful. We are never after perfection in this work. We always embrace progress over perfection. And that means opening our arms to imperfect action and just going for it. Make it your own. Do this in a way that feels good to you in your life. Beautiful people, I hope today's conversation helps you see that confidence, clarity, and calm are not distant states you have to wait for in the future. They are not out there somewhere out of reach. They're skills you can actively build starting right now with the tiniest of actions. You don't need to be fearless or fierce to be confident. You don't need to see the whole path to have clarity. And you definitely don't need perfect circumstances to find calm. You just need to take one small step, then another, then another. So I invite you to try this. Choose one tiny action you've been putting off. And if it feels uncomfortable, that is probably your sign that it's exactly what you need to do. You can make it something so small, it almost seems insignificant. But then just do it. And not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Today, commit to yourself, not to me, but to you. Then you will notice how taking tiny action, no matter how small, creates a shift in your confidence. Notice how it gives you slightly more clarity about your next step. Notice the moments of calm that come from knowing you're moving forward. Even if it's just inch by inch, that's enough. Set your judgment aside and celebrate the fact that you took a step at all, irrespective of how big or small you perceive that step to be. This is how real transformation happens. It's not through big gestures or perfect plans with minute detail, but it's through tiny actions that build this powerful loop of confidence, clarity, and calm. Tiny steps don't just change your day, they change your direction. And that direction becomes your transformation. DM me on Instagram at lulu.essey with the word action and tell me, what tiny step are you taking today? I'd love to celebrate it with you because I know how significant and important those insignificant steps truly are. Take action by sharing this episode with 3 people in your life who could benefit from hearing this. It will only take you 2 seconds. It helps you build a community where you practice these tools together and you can hold each other accountable in a loving way. This is meant to be fun. Wherever you are in the loop, whether you're craving clarity, confidence, or calm, your next tiny action is enough. It's all you need. And as always, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And today, like every day, with confidence, clarity, and calm, this comes straight from my heart to yours.